Fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there. And welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my dear friends and fellow nerf herders, Alyssa Simmons.
Hi.
And Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
Hello. Today, we are discussing a lot of stuff. Oh, God. We went to the Star Wars celebration. Wow. 4 days of crazy content we're going to talk about in hopefully under an hour. And also, we got to see the world premiere of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we're going to probably talk about those two episodes too. It's going to be a action-packed, crazy, tight, full, all of the things episode. This is Inside the Tauntaun, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, and by God, we're Star Wars fans.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Did I
You
do
bastards.
it right?
You bastards.
Sorry, Dino.
Listen, you did this to yourself, dude.
I did. I did.
Well, I mean,
How dare
man's gotta
I?
work.
Yes.
Man's gotta work.
Man's gotta make some money, honey.
So, Alyssa and Daniel
Yes.
were at Star Wars Celebration.
We sure were. I was
What the hell? What
I
the hell did I miss out on?
Oh, gosh.
Just like a few things here and there. Nothing too crazy.
We didn't get to see just, about 5 minutes of Mandalorian season 3 footage.
Woo!
We didn't get to see about 2.5 minutes of Ahsoka footage.
Ahsoka. My God.
God.
We also we got to see so many things. I also got to see I assumedly like one of the first episodes of The Bad Batch, the season 2. I got to see this brand new show that's coming out called Tales of the Jedi. You are going to poop your actual pants from that show. It's shorts that are
All prequel characters.
just all Dave Filoni. Basically, he was saying, he was like, I was on flying back and forth to, film The Mandalorian. He was just like, what other stories can I do? And he was just like, these are ones, like, stories that he thinks he might get to eventually, or stories that they probably won't be able to get to eventually. So he's like, well, make little shorts out of them. And then they're like, sure. They're basically just throwing money at him and just being like, just do whatever you want, Dave Filoni, which I'm like, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
We're jumping all over the worldwide place, but
all the worldwide place.
yeah, ultimately this was my first celebration.
That's right.
Yes, and it was awesome.
Dino and I are your senior.
Yes, you're my elders.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just really, it was like basically what I expected it to be.
Yep.
This is your
But-
overall review.
Yeah, this is my overall review. I got to go 2 of the 4 days. My initial plan was, of course, to go to all 4, but
she's got to also make her
also
money,
have to work.
honey.
Yeah, I was just like very overwhelmed by,
How much content
very-
there is.
well, yeah, that first of all, but just like the very like specific energy in the place. Comic-Con felt kind of like all over the place, obviously, because there were loads of people from all different fandoms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
There were comic book people, there were anime people, there were,
Right.
Specifically like,
Just
MCU
people who like to dress
and
up.
DCU people, Star Wars people, like lots of stuff. Like it was really cool to just have it really be like all Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was like my first like initial like, oh yeah, like this is, I thought maybe because it was in Anaheim, it was going to be a little bit more like broad. And there were definitely people that did like, Disney / Star Wars cosplay
Yes.
stuff. There were
We al-
quite a few like Princess Jedi that I saw walking around.
Sure.
We also saw some hilarious Star Trek people walking around. You know,
Yeah,
Bastard.
there
"You're
was
being
some.
so funny.
Yeah,
Tee."
And then there was what was the super confusing one that we saw? Oh, the
I live in a
The-
van down by
yeah,
the
the-
river.
The motivational speaker.
Yeah, he was there.
Chris Farley for SNL sketch.
Nobody
I'm
understands why, but
really
God
trying
bless
to
him.
figure out that
Maybe
connection,
he's
but
Chris Farley's character was also a Star Wars fan. Maybe that's part of it.
sure.
We're just gonna say
sure.
that's what it was.
What was? Oh, we thought maybe like Dustin and I were saying. Oh, maybe he thought that like, that he's John Candy who's in Spaceballs.
Oh, sure. Okay,
So,
that's
so
the
like
connection.
maybe that was the connection. Like
Sure.
he,
he
thought it
really
was the same
misunderstood the
person.
assignment.
Wow.
Like super like incorrect deep cut.
Quite the
Just
stretch.
failing on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like really.
Did you have
really
any favorite
cool.
cosplayers?
I think honestly, other than our friend Dustin, who
Oh my
just
God.
was the most epic
A
creature
different look
of them
for every.
all.
I guess the better question is which look of his was your favorite?
I think I loved. I
He
think
literally
I
had a
loved,
different look for every single day.
So cool.
I think
He-
C-3PO, his Tupperware C-3PO was my favorite.
Yeah, guys, he actually took Tupperware and like spray painted it gold and created
Yeah.
like this fabulous like drag adjacent version of C-3PO, and it was
Yeah.
pretty spectacular. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so funny.
The only
Um,
thing that was drag about it was that he was wearing a corset. There was nothing
Yeah.
else drag about it.
Right.
But
Which I mean,
his
you
other
could
looks,
argue
his
that
other looks were like,
actual drag.
like actual like dresses. But
the Yoda one.
gowns,
sorry.
I'm
The
sorry.
the
Gowns.
Grogu one was pretty spectacular too. I thought.
Yes. Chassis didn't understand that his wig was supposed to be like Yoda's head. He was confused by that. She was like, "Is he a troll?" I was like,
Yeah, I
he
could
does
get- I
kind
got
of
troll
look like
vibes
the
a little bit.
trolls.
And he had
He
jewels
kind of
and
looks
stuff
like
too.
the
So like.
poppy troll. Yeah, I saw some really epic Queen Amidalas, and
Oh,
that
yes,
made my
sure.
Which
heart super happy.
I was gonna say something a lot more sexual than that, but
Did the
Oh.
did the 501st have their parade?
they certainly did.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I missed the actual parade, but I saw all the videos of it. They were
Yeah.
like going down
Yeah,
the
there were
escalator, but I
some-
also saw the Emperor walking up the escalator, like greeting them as they came. They're like, "Oh yes, yes, yeah." It was very
Yeah,
funny.
some super epic Mandalorian
Yeah.
suits
Oh,
and
man, yeah.
lots of Ahsoka Tano's.
Super
Sure.
legit,
Um,
like Grogu puppets too, which is like, oh my
Yeah,
god, those must have been so
really-
expensive.
Really cool. So that was like sort of my first like whoa, and I felt like kind of overwhelmed on the
Yeah.
first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because like it's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
So
yeah.
much
energy
to take in.
right off the bat. And I think also too, still, even though like I work in theme parks, still kind of like coming into like being around a lot of people
Mhm.
Right.
all at once is kind of like, whoa, I kind of
Still.
forgot how this feels.
Yes.
Um
Although they were being pretty safe. I mean,
they were being yeah.
re-
I mean there was
relatively safe.
a health check, and technically, you were meant to have your mask on inside.
Yes,
so.
right. Yes, and most people
Um,
adhered to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
that
in
was-
terms of panels?
Panel.
Tell me about which ones you made.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I've caught up on a lot of them on the stream, but I'd be interested to see which.
Yeah. So the
you were at.
first Daniel, what did you attend on Thursday without me?
On Thursday, it was the Lucasfilm panel. I can't
The
remember.
big
it's like-
reveal. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Their
remember the
showcase.
actual name of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's like their showcase that, and we were all sort of. I don't know if what I was expecting. I guess I was like, I knew it was gonna be like kind of like the big day because they, it's just Lucasfilm, so it's like very all encompassing. I think that my biggest surprise was I was expecting there to be like maybe some more information about upcoming movies, but they are very heavily. It's
Yeah.
pretty clear that
Disney
like the
Plus
foreseeable
focused.
future is all Disney Plus.
And
Mhm.
Kathleen Kennedy said this weekend that the next movie will be Taika Waititi's.
Yep.
Yes.
We don't have a
We don't know
release
what
on
that
yet.
is,
Well,
but
and
yeah.
interestingly enough, I mean, you would have thought that she would have like said that on stage at the Lucas, because that was like the perfect place to do it, because she
Yeah.
was there, up there with Dave Filoni and all the people, and
Sure.
yeah, you think that they would have said something, but she didn't mention it, which is interesting.
But interestingly, in that same conversation, she said the Taika Waititi movie is next, and then they're going to be focusing their films on the sequel trilogy,
yeah,
which
very
is very
interesting.
interesting. And timed
They're
with
just like
Daisy.
doubling down on it. They're like,
Well,
no,
and I
we're
was
gonna
going to
make
say, timed with Daisy Ridley's return to like social media, and she's kind of talking about Star Wars again. I'm like, huh.
very
I wonder.
interesting.
I wonder if something's a cooking.
Something's
Yeah.
a cooking. But yeah, so we got
So that was Thursday.
that was Thursday. We got so they gave they're always so coy. They're like, well, we may have something we can show you. Do you want to see it? Pandering to the audience. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is literally why we're here. It's why we waited hours. Give us our damn money's worth, you bitch. But they showed us the first like clip of the Mandalorian trailer, which looks effing incredible. They although interestingly enough, they only gave us the first half of it. Like I remember it ending in kind of a weird place, and we're like, oh wow. I mean, it looked amazing. I was like, this is so cool. But then it like ended, and I was like, oh man, they're only showing a portion of it. But then later, in the week, which maybe was just like the next day, or was
was
that the
on
Mando
Saturday.
Plus? Oh, it was the Mando Plus
Saturday.
one on Saturday.
Mhm.
Yes. They showed us the full length trailer. Which like, oh my gosh, wow. Like it looks like it's gonna be so epic. I mean, and very direct, because everybody's just like, oh, it's gonna be very broad, and maybe we'll have to sort of guess at what it's gonna be about. But like,
Oh.
he basically says like,
Oh, he says, I'm going back to Mandalore to atone for my sins.
yeah, it's like,
Like-
okay, there's the whole pit. Like,
we
I
go.
mean, assumedly that's like the entire like what we're gonna be seeing for that season. But yeah, what else did we see? We saw the Ahsoka. Oh, that was the Mando Plus day as well. But
Yeah.
they were talking about Ahsoka more. We saw some like, we got like a cute little like hello from Rosario Dawson. And she was like on set, she's like, sorry I couldn't be there, which another ruse, because she was like,
She showed
"Oh,
up in the Mando Plus.
yes. So she
Saturday,
wasn't there
yeah.
for Thursday. She was bummed she couldn't be there, but of course she came and made
Very cool.
an appearance on Saturday, which was so freaking cool. Everybody lost their shit when she came out.
Oh yeah.
We also with I'm bopping all around, but I mean at that same Mando Plus panel, when we saw the little clip of Ahsoka, we saw a very familiar, at least back of the head of somebody, and a few people actually. We
A
saw
few somebodies, yeah. We definitely saw Hera,
we saw Hera,
without a doubt.
and you could have imagined the screams. The children
Mhm.
were screaming, and then we all saw at the very end of it Sabine's head, and everybody was just like, oh, woo, woo. And then they brought
Well,
her.
they announced the casting for
Yep.
obviously
then they-
Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
And
Mhm.
not only did they do that, but they brought her out
They
on
brought her
stage
right on
right
out.
afterwards, and
Very
everybody
cool.
was like, "Oh my god!" So that was pretty freaking amazing. I'm trying to think of all the other things that happened on that, because they gave us a lot of stuff, like a lot of information at that Thursday panel. But yeah, it was very, very exciting. Yeah. Thursday. I didn't get into the actual room, like the big room. I did stand by and got myself into one of the streaming rooms. Thank God, because this year they did this. I don't for the people that didn't try to go, they did this new system where you would enter into a lottery. Like
for
a
the
week
big
before.
ones.
Yeah, for the big ones.
For the big giant ones each day.
Right.
So there was one each day. Of
Yes. And I actually managed to get tickets for every single one except for the first one. Although the one on Sunday with a Bad Batch, I didn't realize that the lottery was also for like the streaming rooms too. So I like showed up to the big hall. I was like, I got my ticket. I'm ready to go inside. They're like, oh, that's for the thing upstairs. I was like, oh, how embarrassing. So,
What
This
a
is only my
loser.
4th
Yeah.
day here. Why don't
What
I know
a
this?
loser.
jeez. So then I had to like walk over to the complete opposite side of the convention center. And for anybody that's been there, it's like a
It's
mile
giant.
long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
it's
like
big.
running out of time, so I ran all the way there. And then they the first day they had like a special entrance for the people who had like, you know, a panel reservation. But for whatever reason on Sunday they're just like, screw you guys are just.
Yeah.
So I had to go into the line with the commoners downstairs, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it in time. I was like pleading with like the workers there who, you know, they may not be Star Wars fans. They just work for the
They
convention center. They don't
Mostly
give a
are
shit.
not. No,
Yeah,
they don't
so
care.
I'm just like, they're just like, you'll make it. Don't worry about it. I was like, no, you literally don't understand. They're gonna start letting in the other people, like the people, like the standby people, and then I'm gonna not have a seat. And I was like, you have to let me through. And they're like, sorry, you gotta wait. I was just like, F this, you guys. I literally jumped the rope and I ran.
God, Daniel, jeez.
I'm a
God.
convict. I'm a convict on the run. I'm a fugitive, and I'm admitting it on camera. Oh God. But it was hilariously enough though, because some of the panels, like the bigger ones, they're like, oh yeah, you guys all are getting like a wristband or a ticket or whatever, and it's like, and whoever has a wristband gets a free derp, and we're like, oh my God, and you know, be like a poster or a sticker or whatever the fuck it was. But so I went back to claim my poster, and hilariously enough, the guy that I was like pleading, like one of the guys that I plead with, he he was the guy that I was getting the poster from. He's like, you again. I was just like, yeah. I was like, dude, I ran. And he's just like, I get it. He's like, I understand. I was like, thank God.
He's like, I hate you, but
Yeah,
I
you're
understand.
the worst, but you're the worst kind of Star Wars fan. But thank you. Thank you for being so honest. Yeah, anyway, that was Thursday was mostly panel filled, and a little bit of just like getting a lay of the land, the shopping situation. I didn't really get too many exclusives except for this shirt, which only the people that are watching on YouTube will see.
Cute. Very cute.
It says, hello there. It's very cute.
I'll describe it. It's like a little kind of Funko looking type Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
And it says hello there on it.
I thought it was appropriate. Oh God, you guys! That reminded me that the very first thing that was said at the Star Wars panels, the first person on stage, basically, other than the host, was Ewan McGregor. And
Oh.
and
I was
the
like,
first thing he
hello.
said was, hello there. And I was like, yeah! Very exciting.
Well, and then you're
very cool.
forgetting the most important thing that you did on Thursday was that you got to watch the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah, that whole thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was at the end of the panel. They were like, oh, you know, being obviously very coy about it. They're like, do you guys want to see it? They're like, unfortunately, we can't show you guys anything now. And we're like, oh, they're like, but what? They're like, we're inviting you guys all back later tonight to watch the show with us. Wow. And so yeah, we all got wristbands, and although my wristband was specifically only for the stream room, I was like, oh God, I'm so lame. But seriously, it was fine, because honestly, like the screens that were in there were probably even better than the ones that are in the big room, anyways.
In
But
the giant room. Yeah.
the only I guess bummer question mark, is that we're not like in the room with because Ewan McGregor,
Hayden.
I think Hayden was also there that night. He was there during the day, which was just, oh my God, it was so good to see him up there with his brother Ewan.
Yes.
And Miss Chow was also there as well. What a crazy experience to sit there. The directors and Ewan McGregor is an executive producer on the show too. To sit there and watch your baby being shown to the world for the very first time, and
Yep.
just
And
praying
it's
that everybody loves
I mean,
it.
for them, Ewan is, and Hayden, like they're movie stars, so they are
Yeah.
used to like getting premieres like that.
Right.
But with like all of these other Disney Plus Star Wars properties, like they don't get premieres. It's a
Right.
television show.
Right.
So
Totally.
they don't screen it in a movie theater in Hollywood. Like it's just comes out
Just gets
onto
out
Disney
there.
Plus. So cool for these people to like actually kind of get to like
Have that
have
moment.
a premiere and not with like a bunch of snotty Hollywood people.
Yes.
Right.
Just with the
Right.
snotty Star
the-
Wars people.
with snotty Star Wars people, which I was surprised how unsnotty people
Yes.
were.
Well,
be
I mean, the people at the the people that were there to watch it were all just unanimously like just
Happy to
in-
be there.
yeah, so happy
Yeah.
to be there, and it was just like the screams. If you could, I mean, my
Mm.
God, the
Yeah, just the energy is like crazy.
oh man,
Crazy.
and I mean MVP. I mean, we're gonna get to it when we discuss the episodes, but like the MVP, that freaking child actress that plays young
So
Leia,
cute.
is
He's
just the
cute
best, and
baby.
she's so adorable. And it was like, oh man, we need to protect her at all costs. Like nobody will ruin that poor little girl. She is going to be perfect for the rest of her life, and she's going to
God
have
willing.
oh, she's just wonderful.
Yeah, she's definitely got like that. We'll talk more about it, but
Yeah.
she's got that,
Star
Carrie
power.
Fisher. She's got that Carrie Fisher spirit. in
Yeah.
her,
Very much
so
so.
that like feels
so well cast.
that feels so right.
And her name is Vivian Blair.
Vivian. Vivian.
Cutie.
She's
cutie.
So
wonderful.
is that all you have to say about Thursday, and then we can move on to Friday?
I think that's all I have to say about that. I'm gonna
Okay.
while you're I'm actually gonna, because I have the
you have the app.
the
and
app.
remind
I
yourself
wanted to like
what you
go
saw.
through and like be like, oh yeah, that's right, I did that. That's right, I did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep moving us right
Yeah,
along,
no,
or
yeah,
else
do
this
it.
is gonna take
Go.
forever.
Moving right along.
So Friday, I was there.
Oh my
as
God, that's
well.
right. I did the Ian McDermott. I did the audience
you went
with
to
the panel with him,
yeah.
The panel with
yeah.
Ian.
And
Yeah.
he's just,
He's
as
very
as
cool.
hilarious and wonderful as you'd hope he to be, and he's
Mhm.
like, he like will never pass up a chance to
say any
any of the
Right.
lines
Yes.
because it just makes everybody go nuts. And
Yeah.
he does his little like electricity hands like at the lighting, and the lighting designer is always like ready to like make the lights kind
Sure.
of like
So
go up and
great.
down. It's so stupid, but he loves it so much. It's adorable. But he also confirmed a couple of things in that panel that were or just like there's some really interesting questions that were asked. And one in particular that I thought was really interesting that I had never really thought about. Well, it was just a completely different point of view, and it's argued whether or not he meant it like legitimately, or if he meant it like as sort of a metaphor. But I guess when he first found out that he was getting the role of Palpatine, that like it wasn't really described to him that he was also the Emperor, like
Right.
the Sith Lord.
The Sith Lord, yes.
And then when that was revealed to him, he was just like kind of like, well, he's like got this normal face, so like how does he get like I guess what he was because his like the only what he was told about Palpatine was just like that he was a just a politician, so it was like a very generic direction from George Lucas, which basically what it sounds like from all the people that have worked with George Lucas is like he's like fairly generic. He kind of just lets the actors just
Yes.
do their thing. But yeah, so he was being super. He's just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna kind of like play myself, but like as a politician. But then when he found out he was gonna be like the Sith Lord, he's just like, well, how does that work? And basically, George Lucas described it as that like his Palpatine face is sort of like a mask, like, and underneath it is his Sith Lord. So like and that Mace Windu is actually revealing like his true form.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it's like, and that's what what we're still not completely sure about is whether he meant that like he like his real true form is actually that weird deformed face, and that he was sort of just wearing this like meat mask of Palpatine by means of the dark side of the Force, or if it was just like a metaphorical mask, that like underneath.
I mean, that's curious. I mean, the episode 3 would have you believe he was injured. I mean, he was deformed.
That's kind of what I thought too.
Marred. But it could, so yeah, it could be very well metaphorical, but that's interesting.
But if you, if you're bored and you want to like go through like all the ones that are online, I think that a lot of them are online, but that one was one that I would go back to because like he's just so interesting to listen to, and he's got so many fun insights. But yeah, so sorry to interrupt.
Cool.
Friday.
Yes. Friday, the first thing that we saw was the big panel called Light and Magic.
Which was not anything that we thought it was going to be.
Not anything at all like that. I mean, it was, but it also wasn't. So essentially, along with what Daniel was saying about this sort of like, hyper laser focus on Disney Plus, they are releasing a 6-part documentary called Light and Magic.
Very
which
excited
is,
about that.
About all of the folks who started Industrial Light and Magic.
Just a group of 20-year-olds.
Yeah, just a bunch of little baby geniuses who were, didn't, from the sounds of it, it's much more focused on these people and their experience within and sort of like, becoming these incredible pioneers and not even really realizing what was happening.
Right.
So that's going to be super interesting, and there were.
What did you think it was going to be?
I thought they were just going to maybe talk about like new technology within ILM.
Same. Totally same.
Yeah,
but I love a behind the scenes look at like how we're gonna make derp.
Yeah, but I loved it, and I loved like hearing all of these people talking about how like, in the early days it was basically and the one of the folks who is currently with ILM, the sort of like birth of it was a bunch of people who were insanely creative and, geniuses all in their own way, who, if somebody said, how do we do this? I want to do this thing. And somebody was like, well, that's never been done, but let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's just
do
it.
Yeah, just really incredible. And
they were working in like a garbage hole.
Oh yeah, they were in like
very much
they were in a garage essentially, in like an industrial park, and so that was just really neat to hear all of these people sort of talk about.
I loved the story
of that.
Oh gosh, what's her name? That came in that basically lied to get the job. Like this is
who said she knew how to do shorthand.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I have no. She's like, I totally lied to get the job.
She just said she's like, I never knew how to do shorthand. I can just type really fast.
Yeah, right. And she basically kind of came in to the company and like gave them a sense of like order and like
she was like
all purpose.
I think it was like even George Lucas who was like, we needed an adult to come in and say like, we like need an organizational system and this, because she was like, I honestly don't know how they were even operating. It was so
She
chaotic.
told the story about somebody that was dropping like had a refrigerator like on a rope or something and was like dropping it a bunch of times, I guess, and that was like how she was sort of describing this really weird like atmosphere. It's like, guys, we need to like be working.
Yeah, she said somebody was like dropping the fridge over and over, and then there were like 10 other guys like in the hot tub.
Yeah.
And an executive with George from like some big, maybe Warner Brothers or something, like some large company came and like drove up in a limousine and got out and saw the hot tub and the refrigerator thing happening.
Like maybe this is not the right time.
Literally got back into the limo and drove away.
One of the people on the panel like was like, "Oh, that refrigerator thing, we were actually working. That was like part of." She's like,
they were
"Wait,
doing
what? This whole time?"
Doing some sort of test. Yeah.
She's like, "We gotta tell the studio, let them know."
She was like, "Somebody could tell the studio." Like she was like still so concerned.
It's like this revelation after like 40 years later. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, but I think that'll be super interesting to learn all about that.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Because the director of the Light and Magic documentary is Kasdan. Wait, what's his name?
Larry Kasdan.
Thank you.
He wrote Empire Strikes Back.
Yes. And his goal basically is to, it's like an inspiring story, like not just for people, like he's not trying to like necessarily bring people into the fold for like the ILM, but it's just for like problem solving in general. It's like if you it should be a fairly inspirational story.
Yeah, he said his grandkids watched it and they were like, we want to build something. And they were just like, yeah, so that was cool. Oh, and Ron Howard was just casually on that panel as well. So
was Joe Johnston as well? Joe Johnston, I think, was on there.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes.
Am I the only idiot that didn't realize that Ron Howard is the vice president of ILM? Like, I did not know.
No,
that.
You're not an idiot, but I knew that. But
I'm an idiot.
I'm not sure it's
those are different questions.
that widely. I mean, yes, you are an idiot, but not because you didn't know that.
Damn it.
Oh shoot!
Walked right into that.
Yeah, and that was there was a sweet moment in that where he brought up Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
And everybody obviously cheered.
It was the biggest applause of the panel, like by far.
And he was like, it was like such a genuine reaction from him. He
Very
was like,
sweet.
oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell her that you all responded that way. It makes me so proud to be her dad. It's like so. I was like, oh gosh, just like real human Ron Howard right there. So tender.
Very and she has become Ron Howard. Like it's so cool to see.
She's now a man.
See that happen. She's now a man.
Right.
So that was sort of that panel all wrapped up. We went almost directly from that panel into the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
I literally stayed in that room for, what was it, 5
we
hours?
We were in the room a long time on both Friday and Saturday.
It was it was a big day.
But yeah, we before there were a lot of chairs for that panel, and we were like, okay, we think probably Ewan and Hayden will pop out.
I guessed so many names.
We guessed so many people, and at first none of them were there.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Of course we had Tamara Morrison.
Yes.
Very cool.
And
his son.
Little
fake
baby
son, Daniel.
Fake son, Daniel Logan.
Mm-hmm.
And who else was on that panel? Why am I not remembering?
We also had who did we have? We had
can't remember him. And
there was behind the scenes people too.
Oh, Doug Chang. Doug Chang was there.
Doug Chang. Yeah. Talking about
the
design.
Yeah, some of the like miniatures builders with that, so that was cool. And then of course, and for the last like 20 minutes, they brought out Ewan and Hayden.
Yeah, it's like surprise.
Ashley Eckstein hosted that panel. So
oh
that was
yes,
cool.
that's right, which is fun.
The real star of that panel though was Tamara Morrison. I mean,
yes,
did his little haka.
Yeah,
he just was doing stand-up comedy basically.
him and Daniel were just like so great bouncing off each other. Like we were just saying, like they 100% need to have their own podcast, like just
they should,
talking about all the things. It was so endearing and sweet to hear them talking about their experience together on set, and that like Daniel, like, all of us are like, see all these Hollywood movies and we have these stars that we look up to, but like, he like in New Zealand has like didn't know anybody or hadn't like at that point like the only person
he didn't know who Ewan McGregor was before he like went on to set, but he was so incredibly thrilled that Tem was playing his dad
because like he's like the shit in New Zealand.
It's a very small place. So
that was very sweet.
And they just sort of talked a lot about being more like CGI focused, obviously, in that film, and what that meant for how Star Wars looked and felt.
He did like a he did like a surprisingly long description of how he and Daniel like pretended to be on the spaceship, and like how he acted, and it was just like
he's such a ham.
he's
Like
such a ham.
I was not expecting him to be that just like silly and animated.
Oh my god! Like they desperately need to give this guy a comedy special.
Something.
Something. Like he needs to do like kind of how The Rock sort of like became like this like family film.
Yes, he could totally do that kind of stuff.
100% could do the same thing.
Yes.
So funny, so sweet and fun,
and charming.
Charming. Yeah, to the end. And he had like the whole panel was just in stitches. Like everybody's just looking at him like crying.
Well, and I look forward to if he does get another go around with Boba Fett in a very significant capacity that he gets to be in all of the episodes.
Would that be great?
I mean, God willing.
That would be good.
That would be splendid.
Not to throw any shade, but like he's really good, and maybe he should be in all the episodes.
For goodness sakes.
I agree with that. Totally.
Yeah, and he was talking about like how getting on set with Ewan McGregor and how he's like, oh, he's just so cool. And he's like, and basically was just trying to like one up him with the coolness like all the time, but
I never won. I never won.
This is very funny.
Yeah, so
cool.
that was great. It was just like very nostalgic, and they obviously like put lots of like bromance pictures of Obi-Wan and Anakin up there.
Yeah,
and it was like exactly what you wanted it to be. It was like nostalgic and sweet
and paying homage to the people that we lost like along the way.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, very, Christopher Lee. I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
I know. Just like such an icon. And I don't know if he still does, but at least at the time he held the record for I think it's like a Guinness Book World Record for most credits, like film and TV credits.
Wow.
I think that might actually still stand.
It's I believe it because he
had
like,
over 400.
The guy doesn't say no. He just does everything.
Yeah. Wow.
And also fought Nazis. No big deal.
But actually,
but like legit fought Nazis. Yeah.
Killed Nazis.
Yeah. What a guy. What a guy.
What a guy. But yeah, that was a really fun panel.
Yeah, so that was super cool. And then next we headed over to a very special exhibit called The Mandalorian Experience.
Freaking awesome. I don't know, like, that was another thing that they announced on Thursday.
Was that was happening?
Yeah, they were all like, and also we brought all, like, they said they were like bringing a lot of stuff, and he like didn't like and
they undersold it.
They undersold it, yeah. But he said he was being really serious. He's like, no, you guys, like we made something really special for you all. It was just like, oh yeah, sure. They always say that, but like it was beyond. Our buddy David Byweck did the sound design for this exhibit. And he was nice enough to walk us in there because the line was really
because the folks were waiting for like minimum
45 minutes or something,
2 hours.
Yeah.
The standby was like 2 hours. He said the lightning lane was like 45 minutes,
which is
Good
insane.
Lord.
So yeah, it was a long line that we luckily got to skip.
Yeah, God bless him, and also just like a shout out to him because like it was legit. Like
he did an incredible job.
Such a good job. It was so immersive the way that they did the sound because it wasn't just like a sound effect here and there. It was all very like they did a lot of 3D sound, so it sounded like things were like walking around you.
Yeah, when you like walked past a certain section, like you could still hear the Jawas, like because it like felt it was still part of the same scene. It was very, very well done.
They tried to make you feel like you were really there.
Yeah. Because it was like definitely the most immersive like museum exhibit.
Everybody was just like, why is this shit like not in Batuu? Like, I know it probably doesn't make sense for it to be there, but it's so cool. It's
no,
just
but
like...
something like that should be there. Something immersive. That's why, like, I know Dino, you still haven't ridden Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
But, like,
wait, still?
Well,
When
yeah,
would I
the
have done
world
that?
shut down, dude.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow.
It'll happen, but like that's
Yes.
that to me, it felt similar to that in that like it
Mhm.
felt like we were like we like had stumbled upon this and like now we were a part of it.
Yeah.
So it
It
was
was-
just completely jam packed with costumes, props, set pieces,
And
prosthetics.
and these aren't like, replicas. These are like
replicas.
legit
No.
from
These
the
were like the dark saber was right there.
set. So cool.
Like an actual bantha was right there.
Not to
Like a
mention, they didn't
like
like,
a bantha.
Like
they
a
just
bantha.
didn't like throw the set pieces like they're like they had them all animated. The puppeteers, like the puppeteers from the show, were there. Like there was a person inside the bantha, like moving it around, and
Someone
like all
in the
day
other
long.
room. Someone in the other room doing Grogu.
There was a little baby
Um,
Grogu inside of the ship, and they have cameras. I didn't know this until my friend David told me about it. But who, by the way, we were just happened to be standing right next to Sam Witwer the whole
Very
time. I
cool.
was like, oh my god, I love you so.
Oh, you actually
Very
saw
cool.
him?
Yeah, he was right next to us.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't see him.
Yeah,
I thought you said that he had
I think
just...
I whispered to you. I was just like, he's right there. I know you must have not heard me, but
Oh no, I only remember. I think I was overwhelmed by the room.
it was a lot. It was a lot. But yeah,
I
they
only
had
remember
cameras
you
that-
saying that he had just left, so I
Oh.
didn't think that you had actually.
That's what I had
seen him.
thought. And then he came back, or like
Ah.
he was just right. Yeah. Anyways, but
Gotcha.
they had cameras all surrounding the child, looking at the audience, and so the Grogu puppeteers like could react with the people that were like looking at him. So like Grogu would like go to where the crowd is and like wave, and it was just so cute.
It was so cute.
Cute.
Amazing.
Cute. Yeah. So all the most like there was a full like like the Cad Bane prosthetics like
Yeah.
pulled away from like a
Which was so
mannequin's face, so you
cool.
could sort of see exactly how they were like applied.
You could just tell that the crew of the show are just so proud of what they've built, because it's like it's so cool the way it works. Like even though you know how it works, it actually makes it. And they said this even in the ILM too. It's like it almost makes it even more magical when you find out like how it actually works.
Yeah, you would think
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
being like a magician, you would be like, oh, it's not as cool now that I know the way that the trick works. But somehow, because they're so incredibly inventive,
Yeah.
it's like it makes it like that much more cool to be like,
for instance the shoot, what's the screen called again?
the volume.
The volume, thank you. Like knowing how the volume works. But every single time I am like I get told like, oh yeah, this scene, that's the volume, that's the real thing, that's a volume. Like I'm still blown away. Like I was like, there's
Yeah.
no way, that looks so real, it's crazy. So yeah, they didn't bring the volume. That was the only thing they didn't bring. It feels
No.
like.
Can you imagine?
It's a little too heavy.
No.
But yeah, also
But
they're
yeah,
still
so
using it.
that was the Mandalorian experience. It was just so.
Oh, also
so neat.
Mandalorian / Book of Boba
yeah,
Fett
Book of Boba Fett.
experience. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they also had the freaking giant head of the Rancor
So
that he rode on
cool.
top of, which was amazing.
And
Yeah,
the
you
big
can-
the big chair.
yes, and they had the little mini models of all of the ships, which was so and the like actual giant. Which I guess I think I don't know, I just was amazed that they brought the entire thing there, but the whole what do you call it, the cockpit of the Razor Crest they brought,
Cool.
Mhm.
which I guess makes sense because that has been the Razor Crest has since been decommissioned.
Bye-bye.
Decommissioned permanently. yes.
Yeah, so
Sadly, I
I
miss
guess
that
it makes
ship.
sense that they were able to
Such
bring
a
it all
cool
the way
ship.
here because they're not using it anytime soon, probably, unless we're
Nope.
getting any flashbacks sometime soon, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, now that that's decommissioned, they just make that a permanent installation somewhere so people can see it
Totally.
because it's sick. Gosh, yeah, I loved that. Very, very cool. What else did we see on Friday? Is it just like a bunch of shopping and
That-
stuff after that?
We did some walking around after that, and then that
I'm
was
looking at our panel.
that was it for me. I walked around with y'all after the Mandalorian experience, and then
Yeah,
I
there's the
don't think
Attack of
we
the
went to another
Clones.
panel that day.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Unless I'm crazy.
No.
Oh yeah, we tried to get into the Star Wars trilogy in 30 minutes, but it was full.
It was folded.
Very sad. But yeah. And then
so that was a just jam-packed day.
Very jam-packed.
Saturday morning, we were lucky enough to be in the big room.
Yeah, we got the tickets for that one.
For Mando Plus, and we were all sort of wondering what might the plus be, and we were like, just
about?
Disney Plus, or are they gonna talk more
about all
Ahsoka?
The other things?
They're gonna talk about all the other stuff, and we walked into that room, and there were 13 seats on the stage.
Yeah.
So I was like,
she's a big panel.
Oh, are they gonna ask like each person a question? And yep,
and
I was right.
Exactly what they did. Yeah, they were
Each
very
person
coy
got,
too. They didn't bring
a
everybody
question.
out at the same time. They was just
they did it
Dave
piece
and
by piece,
John
which
first.
was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were first, and they probably chatted the longest.
Yeah.
And then of course they brought out our pal Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Cool.
Who got a big standing ovation.
Oh yes.
And remember the time when there was like rumors that he was like a bad person
butthead?
and like
Oh my
not fun to
gosh.
work with.
That came from like one person.
And like it just spread like wildfire, and it's so funny how so completely wrong it is. It's
how upset he was to be working on The Mandalorian. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh, are you
here we are,
kidding?
like shooting season 3 and they're writing season 4. It's
yeah,
like,
and he's
okay.
just
sure.
like you could just tell like how freaking elated he is to be amongst all that. Yeah, so funny.
Yeah. And then they brought out his 2 stunties, which was really awesome because he's not a stunt guy at all.
Right.
And he was very honest about that.
Yeah.
He was like, I think it's very important that people really know that like I'm a third of the Mandalorian. These 2 guys make up the other 2/3. Like,
which is amazing. I mean, in like every other, I mean, really, I don't know too many other times where
an actor would say that.
Well, yeah, and just be that that humble to recognize, but not just recognize, but also like, I mean, I don't know if that was really his idea to have them out there, but like to give them, to have them sit at the table like as equals with everybody. Like stunt guys don't get that treatment, like really ever. I don't really know in any other instance that that's happened. So very, very cool on their part.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it. They work their
they
asses
do.
off.
They do.
Especially these particular ones, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Who did they bring out next?
Oh, gosh. Was it some of the ladies?
They brought out...
The ladies!
They brought out...
directors.
Just one director.
Was it just one? Am I crazy?
Yeah. Just one.
Okay. Oh, because he is now going to be an executive producer, which is pretty cool. He got an upgrade.
They brought out, I'm not remembering her name, but the armorer.
Yes, the armorer.
Oh, Emily.
Yes.
Emily Blunt.
No.
No.
Emily. Continue.
Emily, and
Emily,
they
continue,
brought
right.
and Miss Bo-Katan herself, Katie Sackhoff.
Freaking awesome. I love her.
Rocking
I was like...
rocking a cute new short blonde
Emily
pixie.
Swallow.
There it is,
Swallows.
Emily
Thank you.
Swallow. She
Yep.
sure does. I literally this is kind of, I was thinking, I was like, oh, should I shout it out? I was like, no, I got too nervous, but I wanted to shout
Thank
out.
goodness.
So say we all, because I'm also a big fan of Battlestar Galactica, and she's incredible in that show. And also, if you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, I know if I mentioned it before, but you need to watch it. It's a really, really beautiful show. But yeah, I was gonna say that reminded me that there was like so many shout outs happening. Like people like, in normal situations be like, oh God, they're so rude. But like in this, because it's all fans and they're all like just shouting mostly love and admiration for the people. But you didn't see anybody on stage like getting annoyed or anything, like, or be like, okay, let's all calm down. It was never that. It was always like they would.
I was annoyed, but
Yeah,
Yeah, it annoys the
like
crap
it.
out of me.
I know, same. But
well, and like Ashley Eckstein, like she was being sweet about it, but like she can't hear them, and so she's like,
No.
what?
Wait,
I'm like,
what was that?
Don't take the time.
No,
Just
don't
keep
do
going.
it. Don't
Go.
do it. No, but I was gonna
Just-
say that most of the time, honestly, the people on stage handled it so well and with such love and appreciation. Like, you know, obviously the simple one is always like, "I love you." He's like, "I love you too."
I
You
love
know, like.
you too. Yeah.
But there was a couple times where like with the 20th anniversary, like Tamara Morrison, he was talking, and then somebody screamed like a bantha, and he was like, "Wait, what?" And like he's just like, "Oh, he wants you to do the the thing."
Ride the bantha.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah,"
Did it.
and then he like did it for like a solid like minute and a half, and then like everybody was like losing their shit,
Yeah.
He's like super into the memes.
Hilarious.
Like he loves
Yeah,
the
he's
fact
on board.
that he's a meme.
He's on board.
Yeah, but sorry, I very
Yeah,
much-
so Katie Sackhoff had some really cool things to say. She was,
Yeah.
just talking about how honored she is in her life to be able to portray such strong characters who also happen to be women.
because there are so few of them when she was growing
Yeah,
up.
and she was just like, it's just amazing, and I feel so, happy that you all love Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
As kind of complex and
Even
like
with all of her flaws.
complicated she is.
Well, and we're looking at Bo-Katan being the quote unquote villain of Mandalorian
Yeah.
season 3.
Potentially.
I mean,
yeah, big time for
it
sure.
looks that way.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And then Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, freaking
and
amazing.
and then Carl Weathers
yes.
joined the stage.
Yes.
Amazing.
I was gonna
Um,
say that what's his face?
Who?
You just said his name.
Giancarlo?
Esposito.
Yes, Giancarlo. I think that was my first time ever hearing him like public speaking, and that is like not how I expected him to be at all. Like he's just like so animated and really inspirational too. Like he was not
He's a cool
necessarily in this particular panel, but like there was like a little afterthought like interview that he was doing on the other side of the convention. That he was just like, "You gotta believe in the magnitude of your dreams and
Yeah,
go
he was
do
going
this
for
and
it.
that." And I was just like, and everybody was just like eating it all up. It was just like he was such an inspirational speaker. I was like, "Oh, what in the heck? This is out of nowhere." But it was really sweet. He like honestly, he said that it was and coming from such a prolific actor like this, I mean, says a lot about his experience with the Mandalorian. But which director was it? Was it Jon Favreau or
It was John.
It was
Yeah.
John.
Mhm.
Basically, kind of it very simply there was some scene, I can't remember which one they were talking about, but like he was asking him like what should I be doing in this, and then like Jon Favreau was just like, "I trust you," like just as simple as that. Like it was like he said it was like one of the most profound moments he's ever had as an actor. And it's like changed him like completely, like in the most positive way, because like to just like know that he can just trust his that I don't know, his that it's all there, you know what I mean, that he can just trust that it's in him. I thought that was really
I would
touching.
argue there are very few actors in recent years that have stepped into Star Wars and were such a natural fit. And
Yeah.
Totally.
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, it was kind of like overwhelming, obviously, because he was like, I don't know everything about Star Wars in the way that Filoni and Favreau do.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like,
he's still learning.
he's like, I don't know all the lore. I don't know all of the, everything like that. And so to have someone just like completely, he said it didn't go to my ego at all. It just went right to my heart. What
Yeah.
he said, because
Very, very sweet.
it's.
But I also
beautiful.
appreciate that he doesn't know all of it because
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's willing.
he came
he's like
in
a
with
sponge.
but he doesn't need to because
No.
he came in with his own perspective on this material,
And just specifically
unspoiled.
himself.
right?
His own
Unspoiled
character.
by other people's opinions
Mhm.
or continuity stuff. Like he doesn't care
Yeah.
about all of that.
Yeah.
and he shouldn't because.
And baby Grogu and like
Oh yeah, I liked what he said. He said, "I'm going to crush that little green bastard."
Yeah, he did. He is so funny.
Yeah,
and I was
Ashley
like,
Eckstein
"Ah."
was like, I don't appreciate what you did to him. And he was like, I will crush that little green bastard.
So freaking funny.
And he was like, just kidding, I love him.
He said, he also, wait, what did he say? Oh gosh. It's about him like learning about all the things. It was about, I think that there was a question was asked about like how much he knows about his character. Like, you know, how much was he told, you know, about where his character's from, what he wants to do, like where he's going, that kind of thing. And he was just like, you know, it sounds like they're fairly giving him super broad strokes with his character. And so he's just sort of like filled in the blanks on his own. He like, you know, like a good actor, he like has made like his own backstory, which actually I would love to hear what that is like, and just see how well it ends up fitting with what ends up actually being revealed eventually.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't, since he doesn't know Star Wars that
yeah,
well.
right, exactly.
So.
But but it's interesting too, because like I mean, assumedly they know what his background is, but like I wonder if you know, based off of his performance, whatever that is, they will sort of like take cues from that performance and then write it accordingly. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, well, he seemed a little timid when they mentioned derp-a-derp, and they're like, oh, well, that's probably because, and they would write it out to be that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was on there?
Well, then they played for us the Mando full clips.
Full trailer. Oh man, which was just
that was just, it was like electric.
They are throwing so much money. I mean, we thought the show was like really expensive before, like with the crate dragon and all that stuff. Like you haven't seen nothing yet.
And they've built a couple new volume sets that are far bigger than anything they've previously shot on.
It's just unreal, the amount of detail and the things that were in. So there's so many different locales that we're going to. The most exciting is it the most exciting part of the trailer? Probably. Oh my God! Several important. The most exciting part of the trailer by
it's
far.
Out now, right? They released it.
No,
online.
it is not.
It's not out yet?
No, it hasn't been yet.
I've only read the breakdown of it. I have not.
All right.
seen it.
I think maybe. I mean, soon. I
probably.
think,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I got a notification on YouTube that it might be up today.
Oh, today. Okay, cool.
So.
The most important part, or the most exciting part, I think for me, is that Baba Freak is back.
Yes.
A whole family.
A whole family of Baba Freak.
They're really going to try and
I'm so thrilled.
How do I phrase this? Because save is not the word I'm looking for. That's too negative.
Just fill in the blanks.
But fill in the blanks, but also reorient.
Justify?
Well,
yeah.
Justify, reorient.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, hasn't that really been like Dave Filoni's like, I mean, I don't know if that's been his objective per se, but like with all of his work, it's like, yes, here's some new stuff, but let me give you a better appreciation for what you've already seen. Because like we, you know, all of us were like, ugh, the prequels are bleh. Which, you know, and there's still something to be said about a lot of things, you know, negative about the prequels, like, but my God, with all of the meat that we've been given with the Clone Wars and all of these different, and the Rebels, all the different shows that have come out since then, like everybody is now like, oh, wait a minute, no, the prequels were dope, and like and I have so many reasons why they were dope, and I think that he's, I don't know if that's really his end game per se, but it's very clear that we're getting a lot of information and blank filling, for lack of a better term, that, you know, maybe with the rewatch of the sequels on a later date, who knows how many years from now, we're gonna be like, oh wait, these movies were actually pretty amazing, you know.
They have a task with Rise of Skywalker. I'll say that.
Quite the task, yes.
They have a task to get us to that point.
Yeah,
and have it feel full. But back to my point, I think they're just I do think it's very interesting that through Mandalorian, they've kind of started to massage our opinion.
Yes.
A little bit.
Just the connecting the dots
Yep.
and all the connective tissues. I mentioned Babu Freak. I forgot to say that, and I was like, this makes me love Ian McDermott even more. In his the A Seat with the Emperor panel, he somebody asked him like if he was going to be if he got the chance, if he can go back in time and be in any of the Star Wars films as another character, what would he like to play? And he was just like, well, he's like, I guess if I wasn't going to be, the ultimate evil, then I probably would go the opposite way and be somebody good. And then he said, easily, it's Babu Freak. And I was just like, Ian McDermott, you are, yep, confirmed. Confirmed, my favorite. I love you. Because you're correct. That is the only answer that you should give. Anyways, I digress.
Then, as we mentioned, 75 years ago,
75
Rosario
years ago.
Dawson and
Freaking Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson showed up on her day off from shooting. They started shooting Ahsoka on May 9th. So they just barely finished week 3, which is wild.
Yeah. And even more wild, the fact that 3 weeks in and they actually had like footage to show us.
Yeah, I mean, we're saying footage. They were
fully produced.
Oh no, I was gonna say I mean, yes, they were produced, but they were like 1 second shots.
Oh
of things.
yeah,
So
little
they're
blips.
They're not like scenes. So like when we're saying like footage here,
And those seconds took hours.
Of course,
Yes,
of course, millions of different people making sure lighting was correct and makeup and costume and all of the millions of things. But
an absolutely thrilling few seconds.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that was super exciting. If you are avoiding spoilers and such, I don't know why you're listening, but
What's wrong with you?
yeah, Ahsoka definitely looks a little bit older.
Which I mean, she's really at the same age as Rosario. Like
yes,
yeah,
yes, she's the correct age.
Age appropriate.
As we mentioned, we definitely saw the back of Hera, and then got an opportunity to meet our new Sabine Wren live action Natasha,
who we also saw. Oh yeah, I think so.
Is that her name?
Natasha. We saw her standing in front of the painted mural.
Of the Rebels
of
crew.
the Rebels from the Rebel show, and it is pretty clear. I mean,
yeah, Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
Amazing. It's like it would be weird. Oh, I mean, sorry, we also forgot one of the most important guests of the panel. Frickin' Chopper rolls onto stage.
Oh yeah, Chopper came out right after
cool.
Rosario.
Wop, wop,
So
wop, 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 wop.
that was thrilling.
Just wonderful.
Yeah, rolled out, said hi, went away.
Yes. Did a drive all the way down the panel and then all the way back, which was hilarious because it got quiet for a second. It was just like,
Everyone was like, "Is this
gonna keep going? Okay, cool.
No, okay, we're done.
Let's keep clapping. Yeah. So it sounds like they're like, it feels like it's pretty confirmed that like the Ahsoka show is going to be very much revolving around the search for Ezra Bridger.
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Feels like that.
I think honestly, my favorite part of that whole panel was how stressed out Dave Filoni was about anyone saying
He's
anything
so
they
funny.
shouldn't. He was like stress level, threat level midnight the whole
Yeah,
time.
right.
He'd like anything anyone would say, he was just like, oh,
Yeah, it's
Hilarious.
so stressed.
Carl Weathers was just like, I have a spoiler. And he's like, well, no, you don't. No, you don't. And then he said, it's going to be really good, being silly.
Silliness.
But yeah, he was making him sweat.
Yeah.
But obviously he knows he's just being funny. That's I think the most surprising thing about Dave Filoni is that like he's so charming and it's like such a super chill, like very like, if I'm a 10, which of course I am a 10, he's like a 2, like in his
Yes.
in his chillness.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he like barely moves his mouth, and but he's very charming and so, and so coy. I really enjoy all of his panels with Jon Favreau.
Yes.
I would say my takeaway from, because I had to have the stream on in the background and like intermission of my show, I'd be jumping kind of in and out. But I mean, my takeaway was the Andor trailer from the whole.
My God,
weekend.
the Andor trailer!
I think that's what I'm most
about
excited
that.
for. Out of
Did they play that for you on Thursday, Daniel?
yeah,
they did. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
For yeah.
Yes.
And they released it around at the exact same time you saw it. So I freaked out about that because
Yeah, it
I
looks
think
great.
honestly that was maybe my least anticipated.
And he was
with
there
Ahsoka
also, the
coming
guy who
and
played
Mando with Mando 3 and Ahsoka and Kenobi. I think Andor to me was like, I mean, I love Rogue One, so I mean that'll be cool. This is now my favorite.
Literally same.
Like,
I mean,
I'm so excited.
The amount of, and you know how I was saying before that like they're just throwing so much money at this show, but like, oh my God, Andor looks expensive.
Yeah,
it looks
does.
expensive.
It does.
It looks and feel. We've said this on a couple occasions. It looks and feels like Star Wars, but not in a way we have been exposed to before.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
And
got
we're gonna
chills
start-
thinking about it again because it was like there was some really cool imagery.
We're going to start seeing the inner workings of politics in between
Yes.
the Republic
Yes.
and the Empire, which we've only seen in books and a little bit in the comics.
Mhm.
But him and Mon Mothma getting a story here is just like chef's kiss. I
Freaking
didn't know
cool
I
as
needed
hell.
it, but I need it.
And
Very
it
badly.
looks like we're potentially getting more Death Star.
Yeah.
At least like the because I think that it was canon of part of the Death Star like coming like being built on the planet like underwater, and then it like gets lifted up.
Right.
Like,
Well,
out
and
of,
then they
like-
built it in orbit of Geonosis.
right.
That was a big plot line as well. But
yes.
the cast though for that looks spectacular. I kept seeing actors in just very quick shots of like, oh, he was on Game of Thrones. Oh, he was on Game of Thrones. Like they've cast a wide net, and there's some really cool people that they've roped in to do these shows.
Very good actors.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it feels like Star Wars is in pretty good hands, I'd say.
Mhm.
But yeah, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot all about the Andor trailer. It was so good.
Yeah, lost my mind over that.
Yeah, we all lost our tits for sure. I was trying to think if there was like if there was a couple of moments in there where it was like, oh wow. Trying to remember what it was. I'll remember it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But yeah, very cool.
Then so that was the Mando Plus panel,
Yes.
and almost immediately after that we went to the
Like a behind the scenes.
Mandalorian panel, which was with a lot of designers.
And was such a insightful, really cool panel. They were all had the most soothing voices, so we were feeling very
Yeah,
it
we
was
were like really trying hard not to fall asleep because they were just like giving me like calm app.
yeah, it's
Star
definitely not their
Wars.
fault at all because everything they said was so interesting. But we were all like, it's also like the third day, we're like, it's so funny. You
Yeah.
can tell like all the hosts were completely exhausted too. They're like,
They're
hey,
trying to hype
welcome
people
to
up,
Saturdays,
but-
everybody tired, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah. So the big takeaways for me from that were just like, basically Jon Favreau really wanting to lean back into the old elements of
Yeah,
ILM production
Mhm.
like building
with
models
with
and-
miniatures, and of course we know that part probably over 50% of Grogu is CGI, but the other
Right.
half is this puppet, which is incredible. The
Yes.
articulation that they are capable of with this little teeny creature.
Oh my God! I
is-
didn't even like we forgot that the Grogu was the last.
yeah, they brought
the last
Grogu out.
edition of the panel.
Yeah, they brought Grogu out at the very end of the Mando Plus panel.
Which was just a joy. He stood up on the table and then sat
Yeah.
down all
Yeah,
by
they were like-
himself.
They were like, "Go
great.
ahead and have a seat, Grogu." He sat down.
Oh
Yeah.
God! I lost my shit. He was so
Um,
cute. Ugh.
Yeah, so the behind the scenes was really just about kind of like the inception of the volume and
Yeah.
how realistic, like, because they had like run tests, but they basically had to like, you know, do this like presentation to
Yeah.
prove that it was
A
possible
proof
for
of
them to do,
concept.
because, you know, the budget obviously that Favreau came in with, they were like, for television, hilarious. And he was like, no, it's you know, that's the thing. It's like all of the ILM people are like, that's psycho, but like we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and also confirming that the rumor that that Grogu was $5 million is not true. He's
No, not true.
definitely not $5 million. Allegedly.
Yeah, and then they talked about you know, the experience with having Luke, you know, in
Oh my
way
God,
more
yes.
shots than this you know, Book of Boba Fett.
And yeah, going
How
into
they made that work, and
going into this celebration, I think I just wasn't really thinking about it, but like Mandalorian, has never had. Or obviously the Book of Boba Fett, but the Mandalorian hasn't had like a chance to be at the celebration yet, so they were like making up for so
No.
much lost time.
yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, so we had to like pack in 2 seasons of you know, panel material.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the ILM guys at that panel was talking about how they thought that Jon Favreau was joking when he kept bringing up models.
Oh, right.
Like he wanted to build the Razor Crest.
Right. He's like, they're like, why? It would
and
like
and he mentioned it like in one meeting, and then he mentioned it again. And so
Yeah,
the
they're
guy
like,
from ILM was like,
"Are
wait, is
you
he serious?
sure?"
He wants us to like build a model? And so then they talked to Jon Favreau about it, and he was like, yeah, why wouldn't we build a model? And
yeah,
they were
he's
like,
we have the
because
money
we haven't
for it.
done that. We haven't done that in a Star Wars in a very, very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
And
he was making
just like, he was like, no, we should do that. And obviously they used new technology to do so.
yeah,
used
they like made
3D
new brand new
printing
technology
and,
for it. Yeah. They
so
also said
that was cool.
I thought it was interesting too that they like John was basically like, you know, hey, worst comes to worst, we have like, you know, if we make this model, we have like this is now the basis for everything that we build it off of. You know, like we can show this to all the people that are doing the CGI. Like this is what we're shooting it to look like. You know what I mean? Yeah. I
But
thought
of course, in typical fashion, it ended up looking amazing. So they
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
let's use that.
And so
Yeah.
now, and it's become sort of, it's all of a sudden become an industry standard again, just because
Yeah.
of Jon Favreau,
Which is
like,
really
pushing
cool.
for
I
it.
just think that like that's a fascinating concept as we are in this age of like so much new technology is to
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course we're gonna use that, but like let's also like remember the
Your
roots of
roots.
like remember, you know, exactly how and why we have the technology now, you know. It's
Right.
just it's an interesting idea to still be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's potentially, you know, in a lot of ways, better and potentially easier too, because they talked about the, what do you call it? I always forget the name. The volume.
The volume.
Yes. They were talking about the volume and how helpful it is for lighting because, like for instance,
Oh yeah, with the helmet.
The helmet, right?
Yes.
They specifically mentioned the helmet. That like if they didn't have the volume, you know, projecting all this light onto the helmet and having it reflect off of it, they would have had to go in post and basically completely CG the helmet. Which would have taken so much time and effort and more people and man hours. So, you know, inevitably, they're able to do 2 things. They're able to make it look like real and natural and also have it be potentially more cost effective too, which is so smart.
Which is so funny that like the technology is the thing that made it look real and more natural.
Yeah.
So weird. So
yeah,
weird.
very
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really
Um,
fun panel. And then trying to think of what else they there was lots of fun things that they mentioned on that one, but those are things that came to mind.
Yeah. Those were
Um,
the standout moments for me.
And then Alyssa and our and my new best friend who was actually supposed to be there with Dino, but Dino wasn't there. So
Oh, my friend Brett.
yeah, our good friend Brett. He ended up being my best friend for the weekend. And Alyssa and Brett tapped out after that. Like, I have to leave.
I was like, I can't sit in the dark room anymore. I need to walk around.
I need to do some cartwheels. I gotta go.
Yes.
But I stayed in there for another God, I think it was like another 2 hours for the
Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi, you guys. Oh my God, my tits. It was so cool. Yeah, nobody asked. I mean, maybe the people asked for this, but I mean, I definitely wasn't really thinking this was going to happen. But we're getting new cartoons. They're little shorts. I was talking a little bit about it before, but Dave Filoni was basically like, I was on the plane and just writing these cute little stories and like sort of like not what if scenarios, but just sort of like filling in the blanks for certain characters, expanding on different characters and where they're from and what they've done. But then he sort of started to hone in on these two particular characters and was like, whoa, maybe we can make this into like a little show. And so, and kind of show very much like a two separate paths that you could have taken from, it's very cool. So we're getting a sort of an Ahsoka, I don't want to say origin. I mean, well, it is an origin story, like for sure, because we go. Oh, guys, we
It's
get
dealing with her family.
Yeah, we get baby Ahsoka. Oh, you guys, you're not ready. You're not ready. I mean, baby Grogu, obviously, I don't think anybody tops that, but I don't know though. This baby
Pretty close.
Ahsoka
Very
literally brought us all to tears. We got to see a full episode, which was that particular one, and we also got to meet Ahsoka's mother. Who was there at the panel and got to talk, who was like so humble and so happy to be there and was like just in tears talking about it, because it's just like I think that she's also a mother. I don't know, like, because like it's so funny when mothers like talk about being a mother in shows, they get like so emotional about it. She was definitely one of those people. But yeah, so we're getting like basically 3 episodes of Ahsoka in different points of her life, like and then we're getting 3 episodes of Count Dooku, which that was like such a left field thing for me. I was like, wow, that's so cool. So we're getting and also in a similar fashion, we're getting 3 episodes in different ports of his life leading up to when he got his head sliced off. So yeah, and through that we're also getting young Qui-Gon Jinn, who very adorably is going to be played by Liam Neeson's son, which is so cute. And also Liam Neeson, I think, is also reprising his role in those as well. So yeah, Tales of the Jedi sounds like it's going to be hella dope. You like, I think it's going to be required viewing, in my personal opinion. I can't wait. Just pretty thrilled about it.
Awesome.
Pretty thrilled. And yeah, the trailer looks dope, which is actually out now. You can see it on YouTube.
Yes.
Highly recommend. And then what else? What else that day? I think then it was just like nothing but shopping, bibbity bobbity booping. I kind of feel pretty terrible because I originally was going to go to all the LGBTQ panels, because there were like numerous, but I missed them all because I'm a bad gay.
Well, they weren't panels; they were like individual podcasts.
Well, maybe. Well, I think
there weren't any like panels that were about like.
Well, the one that because I actually did. I'm sort of a liar because I passed by one of them and because I was like on my way to another thing, but it was a panel of people. They were talking about at least from what I could hear, it was mostly about like they were talking about gender and the way it sort of has evolved over time, like and how it relates to Star Wars and yeah, it was a really interesting conversation. I was like, oh, I want to stay for this, but then I had to leave.
It might have been the one about Rey, because there was a whole one around Rey.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, it was specifically
I
LGBT.
scoured the panels to see if there was like something in particular about, that.
I'll have to find it. It was
yeah.
on. Let's see, it was
And
Thursday.
then Sunday, you talked about your Bad Batch experience. Was that the only panel that you did on Sunday?
It was. Yeah, that's all I had time for because I had to come home to be with my baby, my little Maggie. She
And
was
they
gonna be
played some of the first episode, or
They played some of the first episode. We only got a little bibbity boop, and then we got a full trailer, which I think is also now available online.
Yeah, it is on YouTube.
And it looks great. It looks so good. The Bad Batch has got a brand new look. They're all Omega. There's been a little passage of time. Not sure exactly how much yet, but she seems like she's a little bit older now. And she's obviously getting a lot more training because she like whipped out her freaking bow and like, woo, she's very crafty now. And what else? Oh my! Basically the whole panel was just a vehicle for D. Bradley Baker to show off.
Sure.
Literally, like that's all that panel was, and like everybody was eating it up, of course. But like he was just like the host was just like asking like all his different characters questions, like Wrecker, tell me about Derp, and he's just like oh blah blah blah, and then like he'd ask Tech to do the thing, and he's like oh yes well blah blah blah. It was very. I was like oh my god, this guy is amazing. And yeah, he is like a voiceover icon. And then of course, and Omega was there as well.
Cool.
Michelle Ang.
Yes, Michelle Ang. And she's just like, well, I do this one character, and that's it.
That's normal. But
yes, that's
D. Bradley. D. Bradley is also like from the OG like Cartoon Network Nickelodeon era where that was required. Like if you hired onto a show, you most likely were doing like minimum of 5 characters.
Right.
So
yeah, nowadays not so much.
No, they try to get more people work, which is great.
And for cheaper money.
Yeah. Yeah. So final thoughts on Celebration before we move on, because we have already been talking for an hour and a half.
Oh, we literally could talk for 1,200 years.
We could, but that's
can't.
too long.
It's too long. It's too long. It was a celebration nonetheless. It did feel that way, and I loved the fact. I think going back to what you said, at least in a different way, before Alyssa, is that being there with everybody that everybody was there, loves Star Wars. There was nobody there that was there to be there ironically. You know what I mean? Like everybody there loved Star Wars. So it was just such a wonderful thing to be able to like sit in this room, and you could literally and the hosts a lot of times would say turn to your left or your right and tell them like your favorite character of Star Wars. Like you could do that. You could turn to the person to your left or your right and strike up a conversation about anything in Star Wars, and you'd have a new best friend. You know what I mean? Which is just, I think that's really the core of what the celebration is that feeling of belonging. And and I thought that was very, very special. Like that's why you go.
There's no one right way to like have your fandom either.
Yes.
Like maybe you're all about the action figures. Maybe you're all about cosplay, maybe whatever it may be. The whole weekend just made me like really like happy and proud to be a Star Wars fan. And like
there are good parts of the Star Wars fandom. There are really good parts.
And it just like you could like that sort of just like love for it was like very tangible throughout the whole con. So that was like that was awesome.
I sorely missed that experience.
We missed you.
I
we missed you too.
I remember,
we missed you a lot.
The other two were just so spectacular, and it really is unlike anything. I haven't been to Comic-Con myself, but I know I much prefer it because, like you were saying, Alyssa, it's geared. All the energy is geared towards a specific thing, and really like when you go to something like Comic-Con, people in the past, people would go for Star Wars stuff, or they'd go for
Right.
Marvel. Like those are the big ticket items. So
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
have an entire convention, designed for that is always amazing.
Very amazing. And oh my God, what the heck? I forgot all about it the first day on Thursday.
Oh no! Oh
Here
no!
we go.
More Thursday conversation.
Just one, and it was
Okay.
it's a very important one.
Okay.
Freaking John Williams.
Oh yeah,
John
oh yeah, you got
Williams.
that incredible experience.
It was his 90th birthday, and he comes out on
well,
stage.
I mean, he's celebrating his 90th.
Celebrating his
weeks
90th
ago.
birthday,
Yeah.
and in what better way in front of like all of the people who love him the most. And he got up there to play for the very first time the theme from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's not just the theme from Obi-Wan. It is specifically Obi-Wan Kenobi's theme,
Yes.
which he never had one until now, which is so crazy. And
Not
that's
officially,
really the only reason why John Williams decided to come back to do it one last time, allegedly. It's always allegedly. But he had me in tears. I'm sure a lot of other people were in tears because it was like one of the most gorgeous themes I think he's ever written. It's so beautiful, and it's like it kind of feels all encompassing too. Like if people are gonna break it down for a while, but like
Lots of unfinished themes.
yeah. You can hear like little blips from a lot of different themes, like mixed into one, which is it's so right for his character because Obi-Wan has been like involved with really everybody, all of our heroes in the stories. So
and that's a perfect segue. So
Yeah, here we
like
go.
the big ticket item of the weekend was the debut of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we got the first 2 episodes. This has been long awaited, especially if you are of the prequel generation, which we all are by and large.
Yeah. I skipped high school to go see the prequels.
Sure.
I
So
also graduated
this
with
was
a 2.4 grade point
that would-
average, so.
okay.
So yeah, don't
Thanks.
skip schools. Don't skip school, kids. Don't do it.
But we've been waiting for this and everyone has their reasons for anticipation. But I was most interested to see if Ewan McGregor, what his performance, if it would go up a level
Sure.
with let's say a closer attention to the quality of the writing, and I would argue his best moments thus far, and the writing is much better than he was ever exposed to.
Certainly.
But I would
I
say
think that's pretty easy.
his best moments are when he's not speaking at all.
Yeah.
That's when you start to see Alec Guinness, and it's really unbelievable.
I mean, not to
Yeah.
jump around or anything, but like
Not to jump around. No, that never happens.
Nah, it never
here.
happens. But like his but to your point, like I think like my favorite moment for him, because you could just you see like, oh my God, like his emotional roller coaster ride that he takes in like that brief, like I don't know, must have been it felt like a forever 5-second thing, but like his realization that Anakin is still alive. And like you like see him going through it, and you can like see the Rolodex of thoughts like coming back to him, and it's just like so terrifying and sad. Yeah, and he's just thinking like if he's alive, but like he's like limbless and like burnt. Like
No, this show is about PTSD.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
And yes, that moment is very important, but that wasn't even the one that got me. The one that got me was when he was calling out for Qui-Gon.
Oh,
and
so
Qui-Gon
sad.
Qui-Gon isn't there.
He doesn't
And-
answer.
And we'll
That being
have this
said,
question.
I mean-
we'll have this question answered, but
Yes.
as of now, we know, thanks to the very clever and wonderful editing at the beginning of episode 1, that was kind of rehashing the journey thus far between
and interestingly
Obi-Wan
enough,
and Anakin.
when we were premiered, that was they didn't premiere that to us.
Sure.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so it just started with the episode itself. So
But I really appreciated the.
Oh yeah, it was great.
It was very well crafted.
Yeah,
and
Yes.
watching it
hits all
again
the
with
beats.
that before is way powerful. Yeah.
But in that montage, we're then again reminded that Yoda was giving Obi-Wan some training while he was watching over Luke to commune with Qui-Gon.
Right.
And
They don't do
we,
that.
we have to
accidentally.
assume. Well, no, but we have to assume in the last 10 years that Obi-Wan has been out there that he's been attempting to do it and has
Right.
yet been able to do it,
Right.
which makes that such a tragic. He's and
he's
and
still
the
trying.
vividness of his nightmares
Mhm.
and how wonderfully those were incorporated and jumping around a bit, but when Bail Organa calls him and asks him, and he tells him no.
Yeah.
And, says, and then lets another Jedi die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
I mean, which you could argue is like the sort of the straw that broke the Jedi's back. He's like, okay, the inciting action. Well, I was anybody else as surprised as I was about the inciting action? I didn't think it was going to be anything to do with. I mean,
With Leia?
I didn't think it was going to be anything to do with Leia.
I'm surprised he was directly involved with Leia. I wasn't surprised Bail Organa would factor into things, but yeah, I'm actually quite shocked, but also very pleased because
Delighted.
we're now getting they're filling in such an important little color that I don't think anyone really ever thought about, was that Luke and Leia knew him as two different people.
Yeah.
And I think it's really it really adds some dimensions to Leia's
Well, her
character. And then when she calls,
her plea to him,
right?
like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Yeah,
Like, it
that
adds
just
so
like,
much depth
like,
to
oh
that
my
one
gosh.
line. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Um,
fact that she has known him since she was like 10 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wow.
And to establish that connection with both Skywalker children
Mhm.
does so much for A New Hope now.
Yeah.
I think it's a really wonderful turn of events that they're giving him mentorship and caretaker role over both of them. The tone of it is by far the darkest, even though
Sure.
the Leia stuff tends to be a little lighter and
Yeah,
some
she's
cases a little
definitely
silly,
the
but
levity there.
Speaking of the probably the only part that's like, that I don't know if you'd necessarily even be a complaint. It was just like hilarious. Was like her chase scene like through the forest.
Through the
like,
forest, yeah, it was-
she's just like so easily jumping through and sliding around, and like the bad guys are just like getting blocked by a branch. Like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
what am I gonna do? This branch is in front of me.
it's a little silly.
It was very silly.
It felt like it felt a little Power Rangers-y.
Yeah,
sure.
a little bit, yeah. And they're like so goofily running after her.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
It was
But-
adorable, but I that didn't like take me out of it.
No,
like
no.
it was like just funny to me,
Um,
and I guess to a lot of people because it's already like a memeable moment.
But I love the idea of exploring with Obi-Wan that, and they broach on this in the Fallen Order video game. The idea that you're almost cutting yourself off from the Force to protect yourself,
Right.
and we come to discover that Obi-Wan has essentially done
Yeah.
almost that.
He hasn't like
buried his lightsaber alongside Anakin's in a I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Oof. And he hasn't really, he hasn't spoken, he hasn't like reached out, for lack of a better term,
no.
since, is what it sounds like.
So that's really terrific that they're exploring such a powerful Jedi having cut himself off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moments, like, we kept expecting him to ignite the lightsaber when he's being hunted by Riva, and he doesn't do it.
Right.
And it's almost an uncertainty of can I even do it?
Sure. Yeah.
And you see him fighting those bounty hunters, fisticuffs, and
And he bleeds because of it.
and he's out of practice. He's he's aged. He's vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And he's almost not even able to save Leia.
right.
She's like a foot away from the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And he finally is able to connect
reach
with
out.
her.
Um, and then to your point, Daniel, then to adding on the immense burden of I don't know what's going through his mind there, and yet I know everything that's going on through his mind.
I think that's why
what
I found
do I
it
do
so
with that
interesting.
information?
Yeah.
And even more interesting is that Reva says Vader has been looking for him for 10 years.
Well, and also specifically that she said Anakin is still alive, so she knows that he's
Which is
Anakin, which is very
Yeah,
interesting.
that's a fascinating.
I mean, very few people in the Empire have even seen Darth Vader at this
Right.
point. So
I feel like that's not an accident. And I don't know if you guys like. Well, and maybe this is only just because I watched it twice, but because I definitely didn't get this the first time around. But the second time around, I was like, with a little bit more of a laser focus. The opening sequence, because again, with so many of these new shows that have been coming out, it's all been like somehow touching on Order 66 as like being a very pivotal moment for like, just like for a lot of these shows that are coming out. It's like this changed everything, and now there's this. So we were back in Order 66, and the very first character we see is a youngling who, in my opinion, could potentially look a lot like Reva. And it would be interesting if, like, the first character that we see is who ends up being, like, the big baddie of the show, to see like how she like and why she is so like hell bent on killing Kenobi, because
I mean, she says in response to the Grand Inquisitor, like, what, like, or maybe it's the other brother, but she says like, I need to get what I'm owed.
Right. Which is like,
so that's
what does that mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, she like, expected him to be there for them and to save them. And
well, this sounds like the Fallen Order plot, honestly.
Totally,
as far
100%.
as she's concerned, with Trilla.
Yes, exactly
Yeah.
my point. So it feels like we're getting, it feels like she's going to be blaming like her situation on Obi-Wan, and I mean, hopefully we'll see I'm sure we're going to be seeing a really interesting character arc for her.
How she knows he's Anakin
is very interesting,
because even if she is a Jedi, if Kenobi doesn't know what happened to Anakin, I don't know how on earth she would. So it really makes me wonder what her relationship with Vader is.
Yeah,
and
because it's possible.
You already see the power dynamic at work. I mean, she friggin' stabs the Grand Inquisitor, but you can tell she's trying to win favor with him directly.
Yeah, because like maybe she wants to be his Padawan or something. I mean, that what do they call him in the Sith world?
Apprentice.
Yeah, an apprentice. Yeah. So
she's a fascinating character, and
very fascinating.
I like how they wasted no time showing her that she's a climber and
ladder climber.
And she's very smart and
not afraid to take out anything that's in her way, including her subordinates.
And speaking of which, the Grand Inquisitor, played by Rupert Friend, he gets his own like Inglourious Bastards moment very early on in
I was
episode 1.
really surprised that. Whoa.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to
gives
talk about that.
Great
for sure.
monologue in the cantina, and
so great. It's totally
very scary.
Inglourious Bastards. You're 100%.
And there's been a debate raging, I think mostly for clicks. Is he dead? Is he dead? It's like, no.
He's not dead.
No. There is 0.0% chance of that.
If he's not dead, then there's a clone out there, but that's just
they're not
that's
doing
so
that
ridiculous.
again.
No.
They're not
that'd
doing
be
that.
cuckoo.
Yeah.
That'd be cuckoo crazy.
And might I remind everyone that Darth Maul was literally split in half. So,
right.
I actually think it's super interesting because, well, one, you don't bring in Rupert Friend to be stabbed in episode 2, but also now you're going to have this little subplot of infighting. And,
Yeah, whether or
you know,
not we get
I'm
the Grand
hunting you while
Inquisitor-
you're hunting him, sort of thing.
Yeah, I would be curious to see whether or not we get Rupert Friend to come back, like in full form, like,
Yep.
but like but yeah, he's definitely not dead.
No, well, and just canonically speaking,
Yes,
and assuming he's not a clone, he's the primary antagonist of Rebel Season 1.
right. Yeah,
Right,
and is oh well, I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to be. Yeah, I don't need to say who he's eventually killed by. You'll find that for yourself when you watch Rebels,
Correct.
and you should. Dang it.
But I love seeing live action Inquisitors. The lightsabers look really
They
good.
look
Sick.
so cool.
They look so dope.
Yes.
Can't wait to see somebody fly in on one.
Oh,
That's what I was
man.
waiting for.
And
I
is
was
this-
waiting for the actual like.
Well, Rupert Friend mentioned he might have given away the story a little bit because he mentioned in an interview, and he might have just been referring to his research in Rebels, but he did mention the flying dynamic, and everyone's like, really?
Mm.
Because it's so cool looking. I mean, we saw the propeller saber, so we saw
Yes.
that like.
And what's his
you
face
know.
getting killed by it?
Yeah.
Which that was like a big surprise that he's Red Hot Chili Peppers guy is like in Kenobi.
Mhm.
I loved that.
Another standout to me is Joel Edgerton as Owen.
Oh
yes. What this series is doing for Owen, and we'll see Beru at some point.
Mhm.
But what he's had to do to protect Luke,
and how much he knew.
how much he knew. So when you're thinking about whiny Luke talking about getting off the farm, and now you're thinking of Owen like nearly being decapitated, and
Yeah.
it's completely understandable why
He's
he
not just
wants
being like an
Obi-Wan.
asshole father. He's
No.
like, yeah.
And he was on the mark. He's like, you're gonna train this boy like you trained Anakin. Good luck.
You.
And spot the lie.
Also, I
Mhm.
will say they're both of their performances are so spot on because like they're showing that
Yes.
transition from their prequel days to the original films. Because
and it's in the intonations and the vocal
Yeah,
tone.
the
and-
inflections. They're both doing such a great job.
really good.
Yeah, I had to I rewound that scene with both of them
Yeah.
a couple of times because I was just like, whoa. They're really really doing a good
and especially
job.
Ewan,
Smart.
and you catch he's not doing an impersonation, but it's just there's more deliberate style of
Mhm.
talking. He said the boy must be trained.
Yeah,
And
right.
It's like,
And even
my
there's there's a couple of times too where, and actually he did this in Revenge of the Sith, I think I remember, but he's bringing it back here. The way he like plays with his facial hair is very much like how
Yes.
the original guy did.
yeah, Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness, the original guy. Good old what's his face.
The original guy, whoever the heck he is.
Whoever the hell he is. God rest his soul.
I'm really enjoying the cinematography on this one in particular.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I love seeing an expanded look at Alderaan.
Yeah, because the last time we just saw like a blip of it in
A blip of it in Revenge of the Sith, and then
yeah.
it was all over the place in A New Hope.
right. And
respectfully.
which of the cartoons like had a little section? Was it the last season of Clone Wars?
They've been in Clone Wars, I believe.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember.
Yes,
I remember
Clone
some
If we ever went in
brief
Rebels.
moment where they were on Alderaan.
I don't
remember.
think Rebels. I think Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, we barely have any Alderaan content because it's not there anymore.
But I like all the colors they're letting Ewan McGregor play with now, more than just being the wise master to Anakin. Now you see some different aspects of his temperament. I'm thinking of like when he's with Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah.
And
we know he's capable of love. We know
he's capable of love.
Yeah, and heartbreak and sadness because he's like,
and he's carrying all of it.
yeah, and his just it's such a subtle but really beautifully played moment when Vivian, the actress who plays
Vivian Blair,
the young Leia, is being smart and talking back to Obi-Wan, And like he just stops and like stares at her for a second. He's like, "You remind me of someone," and like we all know who he's talking about. And
Yeah.
like you see all of the things happening behind his eyes, you know, because he has so much love.
Well, he could have been
for-
talking about two people, honestly. But
Totally.
we know he was probably in this context
I
talking
think
about
he was
Padme.
definitely
Yeah,
talking about
he
Padme.
definitely was talking about
But,
Padme.
but
he
he
was
Yeah,
could
because
very
she
well-
asks him what was were they a Jedi,
Yes.
Yeah.
and he says she was a leader.
Yeah, she was a leader.
So
Yeah.
it's
He was definitely talking about Padme, but I couldn't help but think about Satine as
Yeah,
well.
same.
And that's a
though.
deeper cut for
Because she's
people who
also
haven't
a
Yeah.
watched it.
leader.
She
Big
was,
time.
and the love of his life.
Mhm.
And,
Right.
Um,
But yeah,
Yeah.
that all that you know, you can feel the weight behind that line, and it was yeah, beautifully done.
well,
by
and
Ewan McGregor.
you feel you feel his love and his compassion. Then when he's dealing with Kumail, you see his rougher side, and he's
Rougher.
no bullshit, and
Mm-hmm.
and then he also has, through it all, he has this dry wit that is. It's not the kind of laughing where you're audibly laughing, but you just can't help but smirk. It's like
Yes.
this guy is just relentlessly charming. and,
Yes, very much so.
um,
It's so funny too. Yeah, it for whatever reason it should be annoying, but it's not. It's just so charming and wonderful.
It's probably
Yeah.
just because he as a person is incredibly
Yeah.
charming.
Yeah, it has to be.
And Alec Guinness had some of that as well. You know, he just these subtle little smirks and
Sort of just that like subtlety, but like there was like a bit of a, because he is this like master. He's like
Mhm.
all knowing in
Yeah.
that way, but not in like a cocky. He's just like, oh I know, you know.
Yes.
well, and we talked a little bit about Obi-Wan and Leia, but I love that we're not outright saying it, but we are seeing her Force sensitivity on full display,
Sure.
Yep.
which is so cool.
Because she just like
Yeah.
kind of knows.
In her
She knows
um,
things.
Yeah, in her
Mhm.
interaction with her asshole cousin.
Yeah.
right.
And then again with Obi-Wan in that alleyway where he's like
Yeah,
hiding
what a-
her, where she's
what
like,
a profound thing she
yeah,
says.
So
yeah.
he's like, how old are you?
Yeah, she says something to the effect of, "You think playing things close to the chest keeps you safe, but it's
But it actually
doing
does the
exactly the
opposite."
opposite." And I'm like,
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
It's like, yeah, seriously, who are you?
Shall set you free.
Yeah, it's because at first when we didn't know who was like following her in the forest, I was like, oh no, is like an inquisitor after her? Like, can they sense that she's got the Force? It wasn't an inquisitor in that
Yeah,
moment,
right,
but
right.
I got really nervous. I mean, rightfully so. I got nervous. Someone
Yeah.
was about to kidnap her.
But her overreaction just like caused an entire like 10-minute fight scene that was completely unnecessary. Leia. Ugh.
Let's talk about our new favorite cutie little bird droid, Lola.
So,
so
cute. Little flying saucer. I
Oh,
don't
we
know if
have
you-
to go back to our Caillou segment.
Have you ever seen this is dating me for sure. But a movie
wouldn't
called
date you.
Batteries Not Included.
Nope, you're old.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Well, if any of
If
my
you're listening and you've seen that,
yeah,
shout
if
it
we have
out.
any old farts out there listening, and I'm not old, damn it.
Does she look like something on that?
Yeah. It was like basically the premise of the film is completely ridiculous. I won't get into too hard, but like there's like these little flying saucers that like
Got it.
help out this couple. Like their building is in like disrepair and they help like repair it. I don't know. It's a really cute movie. I think you probably have to have seen it as a child to really completely like it. But
Sure.
anyways, yeah, she reminds me of one of the little flying saucers because they're like
Yeah.
they
she's
all
cute.
have like
I'm
eyeballs
sure
and
they'll
are
I'm
cute.
sure they'll fix her so she's back.
Oh yeah, definitely they
She's
have to.
broken. She's broken right now.
Also, they like wasted no time, and all those toys are available to be purchased. They have a fully
course.
functioning. Well, doesn't fly unfortunately, but other than that, it's fully functional droid that like if you touch it, it reacts to you like certain.
Probably like spins around, right?
I
and
can't
does
remember
that.
if it spun, but it the wings kind of like open and close, and you can talk to it, and it talks back to you. Cute stuff. Spared no expense.
I love that there was one. I'm thinking of one particular moment, but a very subtle world building about the kind of world Obi-Wan exists in, and Andor is going to do this to a much larger degree. But
Sure.
Seeing Tamara Morrison playing a grizzled
Yes.
clone
Yeah.
A veteran.
how and Bad Batch is really setting us up for this world of how they've been pushed aside and
Yeah. So sad.
and a really sad reality of mirror of our own reality of what happens when
Yeah, and talk about PTSD. I
guys
mean, a
come
lot of those
home,
guys
yeah.
are just like dealing with the fact that they murdered a bunch of Jedi and probably feel guilt for it, and it's terrible.
and with their accelerated growth,
Yeah.
I mean, they age so quickly.
Yeah, that's
that,
10 years later. Like
yeah.
they look like they're now in their 60s or something. Yeah.
So I mean, a great little sad detail.
Yeah. Very sad.
Um,
And talking about like sad, talk about sad. That I thought it was a really cool and like very, like they're not afraid to take their time. At least in the first episode, it felt like that. They and it was purposeful. They showed Obi-Wan's like day to day, and it was exactly the same, but and
Like
they did it
Rey's.
3 times. Like they showed his day to day, from him like cutting the meat, like wiping off his thing, putting it in his chest, and then going home, getting the it was like exactly. I mean, obviously they didn't use the same footage. They just showed him doing the exact same thing 3 separate times to show like his monotonous. Like he's been doing this for 10 years, which is like so sad. We also had our Eternals guy, our fake Jedi, which I thought was hilarious.
Camille
Yeah,
Nanjiani.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about him. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved his whole section. Just great. Another interesting thing too, and I think I mentioned this to you guys in text, but like, because I just started playing, because we just got
The sequel to Fallen Order.
Yes, the sequel to Fallen Order is coming out, and everybody's talking about it. And I was like, I'm going to play the games again. Looking at the information for the new game, they are setting it basically 5 years after the previous game, and the previous game took place around 5 years after the Order 66.
Right.
So that would place this new game.
It would be concurrent with Kenobi.
Yes,
Yeah.
right around the same time. So I can't believe that that's an accident, or just a coincidence. I mean, it could be, but and I don't. It's hard. I don't know if Obi-Wan. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that they would have that where Obi-Wan somehow connects with?
It might not be a
Cal Kestis in
direct.
some way?
It might not be a direct connection.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a big galaxy.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be like a third.
But there's going to be
party
there's going to be some through
situation.
line. I mean, through the Inquisitors.
That's
most
my
likely.
point. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the same Inquisitors are going after both of them. So
And Vader has come face to face with Cal Kestis.
Right.
So I mean, that's another kind of.
connection
Mm-hmm.
of sorts.
I would. And it's. I don't know. It's a lot of people's biggest question, but. We know this Vader confrontation is happening. I mean, that's basically what they're building the show around.
Yeah, it's like
I'm more interested in where.
where it will happen.
Because a lot of the posters would suggest like there are shots of Vader on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had been there, how would he not have felt?
Found
I don't
Luke,
think
yeah.
it's gonna be Tatooine.
I think they're just doing that for cool promotional sake.
Sure.
But then again,
I believe Mustafar.
they could have a redo on Mustafar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I mentioned at one point, and this was the outlandish theory, which
You're so
I'm not
outlandish.
that I'm not subscribing to, but I think it's just worth putting out there because we've seen it in Star Wars, is more of perhaps an astral plane like
Oh, that's interesting.
content, like what like with akin to like Luke projecting himself to.
Oh, them both projecting themselves somewhere.
That's not what it's going to be, but
That's
it
interesting.
would be an interesting workaround if they didn't want them to actually be face to face.
Somehow being connected, like similar to Kylo Ren and Rey.
or the world between worlds, or
It's because
Yeah.
like how do you
might
how
get
do
too
you
weird, but
like yeah it's
Mm.
like how do you end that duel?
well, and
You know?
based on what Vader says to Obi-Wan in A New Hope, when I left you, I was but to learn. Now I am the master.
Mm-hmm.
I think we still have to assume that at the very best case scenario for Vader is they fight to some sort of standstill. But I would think Obi-Wan would have to win again
Maybe, or
to
he's
make
just,
that line,
Yeah.
or maybe Vader does. I don't know. I'm so fascinated to see what
Me
that
too.
interaction will be like.
Yeah,
How many episodes of this?
it's only 6.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, we literally only have a month left of.
Wow.
And that's why
breaking
at the
this
end of
down.
the episode I was like, wow, I can't believe they showed Vader this early. It was like, but not really.
Yeah, not really.
'cause
Three I mean, we've got
we're
4
already
episodes left.
a third
third.
done.
We'll be
Yeah.
we'll be halfway through
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, so crazy.
Oh, tomorrow. Day after tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Well,
Yeah,
wait,
tomorrow.
wait, tonight? Oh my God! Wait, no, it's tonight.
Yeah,
midnight.
tonight.
Oh my God!
Why did I think it was Fridays?
Because it
It's-
came out on Friday, but it's
Oh,
actually going to be
oh.
Wednesday.
it's
going
it's a
forward.
Wednesday. It's a Wednesday
Got
thing,
it.
but they did the premiere that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it at the very beginning, but that shot of the quick cut from Obi-Wan freaking the hell out to Vader opening his eyes,
Mm.
That's like straight out
And
of a
just
horror
n-
film.
and just knowing it's Hayden makes just all the difference in the world.
And the music, just like horror film music. Like,
Well, and even the way Ewan McGregor described seeing Vader on set, he got a little more vivid than I think he probably should have, and he said something to the effect of, the first time I see him, he's coming up from behind me, and I turn around and I freaked out on set in a way I never have before. It's the most terrifying thing.
how wonderful.
So, and then watching very short clips from behind the scenes of Hayden Christensen doing fight choreography.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And
Those
just
shots.
the aggressiveness of it, and I'm just so excited to see these two. I mean, Obi-Wan's getting older, but these two are still very much in their prime. And
I mean, you
it's
could argue
not
that
gonna-
Hayden is potentially now like more in his prime.
Well, and there is that component, but he also mentioned he's still figuring out how to fight with his
New-
armor because he's
sure.
severely limited
and
in
his new limbs.
in movement. So even seeing kind of an incomplete Vader is an interesting idea. More frustrated, probably more
Yeah.
emotionally volatile Vader than he is.
Which I
Whenever
mean,
we see him.
inevitably is what powers his force powers. His dark
Yeah.
side, which inevitably would make him stronger than he was.
Yeah, in some aspects, yeah, like physically, he's physically strong. He doesn't have the agility. He doesn't have the the high flying
Mm-hmm.
abilities anymore. But just the fact he's fueled completely by
Hate,
anger and hatred of himself,
Yeah.
which I think is going to be.
And
What
his-
I mean, what will they talk about? I mean, God
I know,
Almighty,
right?
I'm just. I can't even imagine what that conversation is like. Even though we've had one in A New Hope, but this is going to be, I think, a lot more. I mean, it's purposeful, but it's going to be a lot more charged. And
Mhm.
Oh, for sure.
You underestimate my power.
Yeah, it's woo.
I mean, we are blessed.
Very
We are.
blessed.
Incredibly.
I'm trying to think of other poignant moments in the show, but I think we covered most of it.
Well, we talked about Leia. Just to go back to Leia real quick, her relationship with Bail and
Yeah.
and him explained to her that she's a real Organa. And
That was very sweet.
it just we're gonna, and it's such great timing in the few years since Carrie passed away and the final time we saw her on screen.
Yeah.
But we're filling in so many more aspects of her from this little girl, and that's what shows like this. That's why shows like this will be valuable. I think.
Absolutely.
They're great independent stories, but they're also adding to Star Wars, adding to original Star Wars in a meaningful way, which is very hard to do.
Yes. And the
And
people who are
huge,
giving
Go ahead.
Oh, so I was going to say, and the people who are giving Riva grief online can go suck my ass.
Well, and the
Honestly.
Star
She's
Wars,
amazing.
the Star Wars Twitter account said as much today, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I
mean,
know.
enough
I was like,
No, don't. No, we're not here for that,
don't do
everybody.
that.
No.
We're not here for that.
There's no place for you.
Moses Ingram is real good, And-
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
that's that.
And that's that.
And that's that.
And
And,
there's nothing at all to be done about that. There's our musical preference.
Right here at hour 2.
Yeah, it took a while.
Got it in. Got it in.
It took a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we will have much more to discuss, and obviously, we will have our next episodes purely dedicated to Obi-Wan,
I'm
so we
so
can
thrilled.
dissect the show way more than we just did because we're trying to
Squeeze it all in.
put it all in this one episode
These
so
schedules, folks.
we don't get
we're,
behind.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah, so we will be doing Obi-Wan and then Miss Marvel as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You'll find depending on what our schedules look like, that Miss Marvel might
We
a
might
little
push
more
that and do
compacted.
we might ultimately do the whole series in like 1 or 2 episodes possibly.
nothing against Miss Marvel, but we do
no,
have to kind
yeah,
of pick
we're
and choose
just-
our battles here a
Yeah,
little bit.
we're
and
we're prioritizing Star Wars for the first time in a very long time.
it's in
It
our
feels
our
good.
name, for God's sake.
So,
like,
yeah, anyhow, so if you're a Marvel person, we'll get you when we
there's
get you.
there's plenty coming. Don't you
Very
worry.
much.
So much coming. So so this was our jam-packed
I told you.
celebration.
I warned you.
Celebration in Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2. If you made it this far,
Holy
buy-
cow. You are
buy
true
yourself a
tauntauns.
treat. Incredible.
And get a life.
Yes, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the force be with you.
Always.
See ya.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast. Please like and subscribe.